Hey, I think we should probably let's kick off. So a huge welcome to you all, and a big thanks for joining this Collins Book Club today. We're so excited to have you all here. And teachers, please use the chat box to introduce yourselves and let us know the name of your school and class. It'd be amazing to hear from you all and find out where you're joining from today. And today we've got the amazing Michelle Robinson doing an event for us. Michelle's an absolutely incredible author who's written nearly 60 books so far. And today she's going to be talking about her book 123 Do the Unicorn, which is so much fun. I think we're all going to have an amazing time. And there will be some time at the end for questions. So please have a think of anything you'd like to ask Michelle. And teachers, please feel free to type questions in the chat and we'll come to them at the end. Or if you just want to think of some at the end of the event, then type them in and we'll come to them then. So I'll hand over. Time to get started. So Michelle, take it away.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Hi, everyone. It's lovely to be here with you this afternoon. Thanks for coming. We're going to have a story. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I became an author of all these books and lots more. We're going to have this story today, 123 Do the Unicorn. There are some actions. So even if you're sitting nicely on your bottoms, we can use our bodies and do some actions, have a little bit of a wriggle if you'd like. And yes, at the end, if you've asked me some questions, which you can we'll get to those at the end. So I wanted to ask you whether you can have a think about what an author needs. So an author, like me, is somebody who makes up stories and writes them down. And if I do get a really good job of it, they get turned into books like these ones. Can you think what things you might need if you were going to write a book? Well, let me tell you, there aren't too many things you need. Anybody can do it. You need something to write with, maybe a pencil, maybe a pen. You need something to write on. This is my notebook that I'm writing in recently. Let's see if I can show you some of my scribbles. I need something to write on, some paper, pencil and paper. And I need one other thing that's really, really important before I sit down and write a story. I wonder whether you can think what it is. Give you a moment just to have a think about it. It isn't an eraser, a rubber. Nope. It isn't a ruler to draw straight lines. Nope, don't need that. Maybe colouring pens, or maybe. But those aren't things I need. Just something to write with, something to write on, and an idea. I need an idea. I need a big imagination. And then, you know what I need? When I know what I want to write about, I've had my idea. Maybe I want to write about a unicorn and what it would be like to be a unicorn in a unicorn's world. Got my pen, I've got my paper. And how do I do it well enough to turn it into a book? Practice. That's it. It's doing it over and over again, trying my best and never, ever giving up. That's how you get good enough to make books of your own. I thought I'd show you one of my first ever books. Here it is behind me. Can you see? I've even been the illustrator. I've drawn the pictures. That's supposed to be a picture of my dad. Do you think my dad really looks like that? Not much. That's my mum. She doesn't look much like that either. And I wonder if you can see behind me. I haven't spelled everything perfectly well. Sometimes my letters are a bit wobbly and wonky. Sometimes I cross things out. I go wrong. Does it matter that we sometimes go wrong? Let me tell you, no, it doesn't. What matters is that we keep trying. We don't give up. So I wonder if you've ever been trying to do your very best work and you're really trying. You're trying to make your letters look neat and tidy. You're trying to spell things the right way. You're trying to make your pictures look really good. And even though you're trying really hard, does it sometimes go wrong? It does for me. Even though I'm quite old now and I've been practicing for a long time, I still go wrong sometimes. But do you know what I do? Instead of getting upset and going, it's not fair, it's too hard, I keep going. I never give up. And because of that, I can do magic. I've gotten better and I've written all these books, like Elizabeth said, nearly 60 books now. And I've managed to do it. I've managed to do this wonderful, magical, amazing job so that when somebody reads you a story that I've written, like this one, 123 Do the Unicorn, even though it's about unicorns and a world full of rainbows and sunshine and fun things like that, it feels real. The characters feel real, the story feels real, and your imagination starts to grow when you've read stories. Do you think it looks like magic, me doing my job, me writing in my book? Thinking, ideas, trying to write neatly. Doesn't look very magical, does it? Because I've practiced, I have turned my pen into a magic wand and I can do a trick. Would you like to see my trick? Do you believe that authors are magic with our magical books and our magical book writing skills? We are. Do you want to do a countdown with me? This is 1, 2, 3, do the dinosaur. We're going to count down. So do the dinosaur, do the unicorn. We're going to count down 3, 2, 1. And I'm going to turn myself into a unicorn with my magic pencil that I've practiced so hard with. Do you think I can do it? You ready to count down with me? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Abracadabra. And I'm a unicorn. See, I told you my pencil was magic. That's all that practice. Was it really magic? Maybe. Do you have to be magical to make up stories? No, you just need that big imagination. So we know we can practice with our pencils and get better at drawing and writing. We'll have that story in a minute, I promise. But how do we practice being good at having ideas and having a big imagination? Well, actually, do you know how you practice? Do you know how I make my imagination big and strong? Lots of things. I like to walk and notice things and look. I like to talk with my friends and listen to them. I really listen to the things they have to say. I like to play games. I like to watch movies and TV shows, and I like to read books and stories. And when I do all of these things, I'm always noticing things. I'm always wondering. I'm always asking lots and lots of questions. So some of the questions I might ask, I just ask these questions just as I go around, really, just in my day-to-day life. So I live in Canada, and here we get lots of snow. These are my children in the snow on our driveway. So I might ask myself a question. How is there so much snow? What if snow was purple? What if it tasted like chocolate? Or I might go for a walk and think, who left that footprint? Do you know who left that footprint? I went back and I looked it up and I wondered. It was a wolf. And then I might think, could that wolf come to my house like the big bad wolf? Can a wolf really huff and puff and blow a house down? What if a wolf was friendly? What if a wolf met my cat? This is my pet cat. This is Chicken. And then I might wonder about Chicken and think, he looks very ferocious. Maybe he thinks he's a dragon. I think Chicken does think he's something quite ferocious sometimes. Here he is, look. So I think Chicken has an imagination too, don't you think? And then I might carry on my walk and I might see something else that makes me wonder. I might see this guy, a great big horse. And can you see his ears? I wonder whether you can see on your screen, he has one black ear and one white ear. But the way the picture makes it look, if you kind of squint your eyes, you can only see the white ear. And I think it looks a bit like a unicorn horn. So then I might start to wonder, what's it like to be a unicorn? Where would a unicorn live? What else would live in a world full of unicorns? And that really, those asking questions, imagining and wondering, that's how my ideas grow. That's where my stories start from. People always ask, where do you get your ideas? They come from asking questions, noticing, wondering, and growing that imagination. We all need big imaginations, and that's what books help us get. The more stories you read, the more you wonder, the more questions you ask, the bigger your imagination grows, and the better you are at having lots of ideas. That doesn't mean you have to become an author like me or an illustrator like Ros Beardshaw, who drew the pictures in the book. That's what the illustrator does. We need people who have big ideas all the time. We need politicians to run our country who have big ideas. We need teachers with big ideas to help you guys learn and grow strong. We need scientists with big ideas so they can make the world around us better and safe and really cool. So big ideas start with big imaginations and big stories. And the person in our story today, this is Cleo. Can you see her in her unicorn onesie? She needs a big idea to solve a very, very, very big problem. Wonder whether you can guess what the big problem is. So before I read you the story, I want you to just practice some moves with me. Like I say, you can do them sitting on your bottoms, that's fine. I wonder, can you clip-clop your hooves like a unicorn? Can you wave them from side to side? Maybe you can stretch up really tall as if you were reaching to try and touch a rainbow. Can you do that with a good stretch? Can you swish your tail? Can you shake your bottom and swish your tail? You have to imagine you have a big fluffy tail on the back. Can you sparkle? This is how I do sparkle. You sparkle. And can you point your unicorn horn? Can you do it? We're going to do all those things in the story. Maybe I should put my unicorn horn on in order to read the story to you. What do you think? Hopefully that'll stay on my head. We'll see. And yes, this is the story of 1, 2, 3, Do the Unicorn. And it starts in the world where Cleo and her unicorns live, which I imagine is very colourful, full of flowers and fun things, but it's got some scary things too. So if you think stories about unicorns are all sweet and cute, hold on tight because there's something coming your way. Right, this is the story, and I want you to be thinking about whether you'd like to do those actions along with me. Here we go. Let me move out of the way a minute so you can see where Cleo and her friends live. Here you go. Here's Cleo in her unicorn onesie, and her cute little house in her land of unicorns. Once upon a time, where a magic rainbow ended, a snappy rhythm started and it sounded rather splendid. A unicorn called Cleo clapped a clip-clop with her feet. Can you clap the clip-clop? Very good. She saw her buddies watching and said, "Join in with the beat." Here they all are, look. Let me zoom this way this time. We're in a field full of sunflowers, lots of very cute little unicorn friends. She stood up on her tippy toes and reached towards the sky. Wave your hooves from side to side and stretch up really high. Can you do it? Can you stretch really high with those clippy-clop hooves of yours? 1, 2, 3, do the unicorn with me. Try to touch the rainbow. It's as lucky as can be. Have you ever seen a real rainbow in the sky after it rains? Have you seen where the rainbow ended? Maybe there was a pot of gold there. The others followed Cleo as she trotted down the trail. Keep up, everybody. Show me how you swish your tail. Can you see her swishing her tail? Can you do yours? 1, 2, 3, do the unicorn with me. Swish your tail from side to side. Her friends all cried, "Yippee!" You can cry yippee too if you like. Yippee! Cleo said, "Great job. Oops, but can you run and jump around?" You can't quite see that picture, can you? Let me see if I can do it this way. There she is. Can you run and jump around? Maybe not if your bottoms are in your seats. She dodged the fairy toadstools as she leapt up from the ground. 1, 2, 3, do the unicorn with me. Shine and sparkle, unicorns. It's party time. Whoopee! Can you sparkle? Look, she's got her sparkly fingers. Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. Now, I said there's something coming, didn't I? What do you think it might be? What does your imagination think about a world full of unicorns? A fairy tale world. What could be there that was maybe a little bit scary if you were a unicorn? Uh-oh. The gang was having fun, but soon the ground began to shake. Can you shake? Cleo cried, "Our luck's run out," all that luck they found up in the rainbow. "The giant is awake." Can you see the beanstalk and that great big giant foot? Looks like it's going to squash me. He shouted, "Fee, fi, fo," and then he thumped his hairy chest. Can you be a giant? Can you thump your chest? Fee, fi, fo. Can you do that? Fee, fi, fo. He thumped his hairy chest. He says, "Teeny little unicorns are what I love the best." Oh, do you think he's going to eat them? Do you think giants eat unicorns? I don't know, maybe. Cleo shook her head at him. "You can't eat unicorns. We're pretty, but we're mighty. Everybody, Point your horns. Can you point your unicorn horn? Do it. Let's get that giant. The giant plucked her off her feet. Oh no! She gave a fearless neigh. Eat you, said the giant, but I only want to play. He's a nice giant. They didn't need to worry too much, did they? 1, 2, 3, he says. Do the unicorn with me. Everybody sparkle, said the giant. Fum, fo, fee. Can you sparkle again? You do a giant sparkle this time. Giant sparkle. The little ones were sleepy now. Oh dear, look, they've all worn out. Me too, the giant said. You see the giant getting into his giant hammock? You see the little unicorns with their beanstalk leaves? I think they might use those as sleeping bags. Then copy me, said Cleo. Everybody into bed. Bedtime for unicorns. Here they go, look. Fee, fi, fo. What a lot of sleepy yawns. Can you do a sleepy yawn? Oh, maybe have a stretch. Oh, give yourself a cuddle, little cuddle, wrap your arms around yourself, ready for bed. Fee, fi, fo, what a lot of sleepy yawns. Snuggle down now, everyone. Sweet dreams, unicorns, and the giant and the unicorns and Cleo are all tucked safely in their beds. Look, their little beanstalk beds. So that was 1, 2, 3, do the unicorn. So sometimes when I read stories with children, they might say, but I don't like stories about that. Maybe I don't like stories about unicorns. And do you know what I say then? I say, then make up a story of your own. That's what your imagination helps you suggest. If you like, maybe robots or sharks or dinosaurs or bears or wolves or crazy cats who think they're dragons, maybe you can use your imagination, maybe even a pencil or a pen and some paper too, or just your imagination, and play out your stories. All these things will help you get better at having lots of ideas and solving problems and becoming a stronger person than you already are. I know you're already very strong, so that's cool. So that was my story. Elizabeth, I wonder whether we've had any questions or whether you'd like to ask me any questions.
Oh, thanks, Michelle. That was so much fun. I don't think we've had any questions so far, but if anyone can think of any, please do put them in the chat and I'll keep an eye on it and we can come to those. But
So
I've
a
got
lot.
questions.
Do you? I was going to say, if not, I
Oh.
have questions that I know I always get asked. So I know if no one's asked it yet, I know exactly what some of you will be thinking. So I can always answer those too.
I was going to ask, what's your favourite thing about being an author?
Oh, yes, that's a good question. My favorite thing about being an author, there are lots of things. If I had to pick one, it's the day when I have a new book and it arrives in the post, it arrives in the mailbox, and I get to see, when you've done your very best work in class, and maybe the teacher holds it up for everyone or puts it on the wall, or they show whoever looks after you at home and you feel really proud. It feels like that. So whenever I get a new book and it's all finished and all perfect and it has my name on it, that feels really cool. But I also love sharing stories with you guys. That's really fun. And I love that I get to use my imagination, and pens and paper are my favorite things. So yeah, that.
We've also got a couple of questions from Class 1 from Chiddingston. Why did you become an author? Is the first
Why
one.
did I become an author? That's a really good question. I don't think there was anything else I could have been, because it's just what I love and what I'd love, love, love to do. Here's another one of my books I made up when I was probably your guys' age. I'd stick bits of paper together, like I've cut this out, it's all rough. And I just would spend all my time making little books. Even before I knew how to spell words correctly, and I still get some of them wrong, I just really, really, really wanted to make books. I loved the books I was read. I love sometimes when we didn't have much money growing up, but my parents would take me to the library and we borrowed library books. And my dad would make up stories, and I'd look at the pictures of the authors in the back, or I'd look at their names, or I'd read about them, or dad would tell me about them. My dad would make up a story, and I thought, what fun. I love stories. I want to do that. It just looked like fun. So yeah, I kept practicing, and look at me now, lots of books.
We've got some lots more questions coming through. So the next one from class one from Chiddingstone is how did you turn into a unicorn?
How did I turn into a unicorn? Magic. I told you my pen and my pencil are magic because I've practiced. It's just author magic. This is practice. This is where it gets you. Truthfully, shall I show you? There are some special video filters on here. I can do other things too. Uh, I can do fun things, all manner of fun things. I can't see what some of these even are because my eyesight's so poor. What else can I be? So I could be anything. But the truth is, this is what imagination does actually. You don't need silly filters, you need ideas and dreams. And authors can turn themselves into anything really, just by wondering and thinking, how would it feel to be in that situation? What would my feelings be if I were a different kind of person or a different kind of character? Imagination is how authors turn themselves into things. Good questions. These are great, class one.
We've got a question from Ivor from Beerley who wants to know if you have an idea for your next 1, 2, 3 story.
Ooh. I'm thinking maybe a kind of Christmassy one. So if I did a Christmassy one, either maybe it would be 1, 2, 3, do the elf, or 1, 2, 3, do the reindeer. I wonder whether you have an idea. And this is the fun thing, you see. This is when you can start thinking of an idea of your own and where your stories start. So what would you want to see a book about? And then you can make it. You can make it just like me. Don't even need, this wasn't even good paper. This was some scrap paper that I found and stuck together.
And Charlotte from Beerley wants to know, is there an illustrator that you've not worked with that you would want to work with?
Oh, do you know, that's what a great question. I have always loved Quentin Blake, who did all of Roald Dahl's books, or lots of Roald Dahl's books. I'd love to do a book with Quentin Blake. I can't imagine that's ever going to happen. I'd like to do a book with Helen Oxenbury. That would be fun. Um, I get to work with lots of amazing illustrators. I'm incredibly fortunate. And some of the books that aren't out yet, that you haven't seen yet, are being done by amazing illustrators. I'm very excited to show you all those one day.
We've got another question from class one. Do you think unicorns are real?
Of course, I think unicorns are real. I showed you I saw a real one, didn't I? In the field, I saw one. I saw a unicorn. I've seen a unicorn in the past as well on the coastal Perth. It was a tiny baby unicorn. It was a white little foal. It was definitely a unicorn because it's just too magical not to be. Um, I think if you believe in something, then it's as real as your imagination makes it. And I think there are lots of things out there that we don't know about as humans. We like to think we're very smart and we understand everything, but it's just not true. The universe has way more in it than we know about. And I love that idea. I find that really exciting. I think that's pretty cool, don't you?
That is absolutely. Oh, this is a great question from Harrison at Beerley. Is there a book you wish you had written?
Oh, yes. Yeah, great. These questions are all brilliant. Charlotte's Web. I wonder if you know that book, or maybe you know the movie. It's about a little girl who has a tiny pet pig that she's caring for on a farm, and a spider who makes friends with the pig and loves the pig and writes with it inside its web, with its spinny web, special messages about the pig in its web. It's the most perfect story. I love everything about it, and I wish I'd written it. But if I'd written it, it wouldn't be that book, would it? Because we all do things differently. So yeah, but that's one that always makes me think, I wish I could write something that perfect.
And another question from class one, or two questions from class one. How many books have you written, and what is your favorite book?
Good questions. I think I have lost count. I think my most recent book came out a couple of weeks ago, which was this one, Lobster's Vacation. I think it was book number 58. I think that's 58. Um, I have about 10 more that are kind of halfway towards being made that are on their way out. So 68. If you looked at my all my notebooks and all my laptop and all the stories I've written over the years, there are probably hundreds of stories. They don't all become books. And which one do I like the most? Oh, that's different all the time. All the time. I really like, today I'm going to say this one, Daddy's Footsteps, because I wrote it for my dad and about how much I love him and how much he's taught me over the years. Because I miss my dad because he still lives in England and I live in Canada, so I don't get to see him very much. That one's quite special to me.
And another question this is from Macy at BLE First School. Would you ever write a beginner's guide to unicorn spotting?
Wouldn't that be fun? I would like to do that, yes. And I wonder what things we'd put in that guide, Macy. What would you need to do to spot a unicorn? I don't know. I have actually written a series of chapter books that are about unicorns, and I do have a bit in there. I'll just show you quickly. So sometimes I like to challenge myself to write something longer. So I wrote this one, Do Not Disturb the Dragons, and actually the characters in it tame wild unicorns. So that's quite fun. I got to imagine how you would tame a unicorn and get a pet one. And you have to go into the forest, close your eyes, and think of all your favorite things. And then you have to say them out loud. So I would say pens, paper, cakes, probably. And when you open your eyes, your unicorn is there with its nose in your hands, ready to make friends with you, and you have to give it a name. So I would call mine Pages, and he would look like the pages of a book. He'd probably have illustrations and writing in him. So yeah, I've already imagined a lot about unicorns. I like imagining things like that.
And another question from class 1. How long does it take to write a book?
How long does it take to write a book? Good question. It's always different. So this one took me 1 whole year. I had to go wrong a lot. I had to cross a lot out and start again many, many times. Something like this. So this has about 21,000 words in it. This one probably has more like 300 words, and probably took me a couple of weeks of making sure it was just perfect and all the right things happened in it, and what actions there should be and what the giant would do. So it just depends. Sometimes ideas come to me quite strong and quite fully formed, and then the writing happens a little more quickly. Other times I have to write to figure out what's going to happen. I don't know until it comes out of my pen, and I go wrong a lot more and it takes longer. Different every time. These are great questions, everyone.
Yeah, so many good questions. Another one from Zinnia sorry if I said that wrong, at Bioli. Have you got a Blue Peter badge? Because Zinnia's just got a Blue Peter book badge.
Oh, well done, you. Congratulations. That's amazing. My children got their Blue Peter badges and they kept going for all the different ones. So they'd get their environmental one or whatever. And then I can't remember what all the different sections are now. I don't have one, and it's a source of great sadness to me. So I am you should be very proud of yourself. That's a real achievement. I love Blue Peter. Well done.
That is amazing. I wish I had a Blue Peter badge. And another question from class 1. How many pages is your longest book?
Ooh, let's have a look. It will be one of these, and let's look for the page number. That says 213 pages. So something like that, 213 pages. That seems like quite a lot, doesn't it? Especially when it takes you a year to write it. Yeah.
Thank you so much from Year 1 at BLE First School. Thanks so much for coming. It's been great to have you here. And another question from class 1. Have you written any information books?
Kind of. I prefer to write fiction, made up stories, but I do use real information to kind of inform my stories. So probably the most informative one is it the right one now? Yes, this one. A Beginner's Guide to Bear Spotting. That does have plenty of real facts about bears in it, but done in a silly story way. Yeah, information books. I like to put the fun and the silly into my books. There are lots of authors actually who do really good non-fiction factual books that are also lots of fun. Authors like Andy Seed. So you should check out their books if you like information books that are also fun.
I've just got one more to finish off.
Ooh.
If you were a unicorn, what do you think your special unicorn superpower would be?
I would be able to create cakes from the air at will. So whenever I wanted a sweet treat, I could maybe like close my eyes, shake my tail, waggle my horn, and poof, there'd be cake. Maybe rain cake or chocolate drops or something like that. That would be amazing. I should probably say something better, shouldn't I? Like world peace or making everything wonderful. But I'd quite like some cake. I'd have cake for everyone. It wouldn't just be me. I'd make it cake for all.
That sounds amazing.
Thanks for all those questions, and thanks for being here at the end of a day. I expect you're all tired and looking forward to home time. So it's been lovely to spend some time with you.
Yeah, thanks so much everyone for coming, and huge thanks again, Michelle, for such an amazing event. It's been so much fun. And teachers, please do look out for news on next term's book club events. We've got lots more coming up soon. So thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.